1, 2, 3, I don't know who else to be. 4, 5, 6, like they say I can't be fixed.
Hi, I'm Jenny.
And I'm Jill.
And welcome to Fluffy Mother Fluffer, where we're taking life seriously, one laugh at a time.
Welcome to episode 10. Today we're talking adoption. First, we're going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota twin family study, which followed sets of fraternal and identical twins and found some really interesting results.
Oh.
We are going to be interviewing Tina, who is going to talk about her experience as an adoptive parent. And finally, we'll be playing a game called Who's the Adopted Celebrity?
Oh.
And you're going to find out which of your favorite celebrities are actually adopted.
Huh.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I bet. It's
I've
just
never
not
looked.
something... Well, yeah, it's just not something you think about.
Yeah, you don't go, are you adopted?
Well,
I mean, unless you meet their parents and then you're like, the parents are kind of weird. You seem pretty cool. You adopted?
that's like a running joke for our siblings. You're adopted.
Mm-hmm.
To telling them that.
Mm-hmm.
My husband has 3 brothers, and they didn't use the adoption thing. They always said, Mom and Dad wanted a girl, so they kept trying until they had you.
We like to remind the baby in our family that she was an oops. My mom tells the funniest story about it too. She's like, I fell down the stairs off the back deck and Dad came outside going, what the hell are you doing? And I said, well, I hope you're happy. I probably killed the baby. And he was like, what?
Oh, he didn't know?
He did not know. They were not planning for number 5. Does anybody really plan for number 5? Is that a thing?
I don't know. But she knew?
She knew. She had just found out.
Oh.
Yeah. How'd you find out if you're pregnant back then? Pregnancy tests, but like, were they accurate like they are now? I don't think so.
I don't think they were as accurate, but I think people had to wait a lot longer to find out.
She's just like, I don't know if these are nachos anymore. This is looking. Before we start, I just want to say something quick. This episode's called You're a Fluffy Adoptive Parent. And we're not saying that parents that adopt or Tina, our guest, is fluffy. That's not what that means. Actually, the fluffy applies to us because before I really looked into different stories on adoption and got to hear Tina's story on adoption, there is so much behind being an adoptive parent. It is not a cookie cutter easy thing to do.
No.
At all. I mean,
Yeah.
So really the fluffy applies to us in that I was very naive to the process of adoption.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I still am. And that's why I'm really excited to talk to Tina because I have so many questions. It's funny. So we're doing a little bit of a remodel at our house. And I was talking to our contractor this morning and I was telling him what we were doing today. And he adopted his daughter.
Oh,
Yeah. They adopted her from someplace in Mexico. But he was telling me that story and how it was just super hard and really expensive.
yeah.
And essentially that they almost didn't get her. And now, she's all grown up and she actually just went to visit her because his little grandson just turned 1. So, yeah.
That's really cool. My mom was adopted and she did not find her biological mother until she was almost 50. Yeah. And then so when I met my biological grandma for the first time, it was the creepiest thing to walk upstairs at my parents' house and see this older version of my mother. I mean,
Yeah.
we looked so much alike. It was like, holy crap. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Minnesota twin family study. I have a question for you to start this segment off. Do you think religiosity, having a passion and strong beliefs about religion, is a product of genetics or our environment?
Environment.
So there is something called...
There's no way that's genetics.
I'll get to it. This is pretty cool. There is something called the Minnesota Twin Family Study. In fact, they have sibling studies too, and this is still ongoing. This started in 1979 out at the University of Minnesota. From 1979 to the year 1999, and even now in different formats, the university has studied monozygotic twins, or those that were formed from the same zygote and then split into 2 embryos.
Right.
They share the exact same DNA, right? So twins that were adopted then, though, to different families after that point. So once they were born, they were adopted to different families and lived separate lives.
Okay.
Now, before I get too far into this, just to clarify, this wasn't a study that was done like Hitler's sadistic team did in World War II, where they like took twins and you know what? Don't even look it up. It's going to give you nightmares for weeks.
Right.
And then there were the studies also done in the US. If you've seen the documentary, have you seen 3 Identical Strangers? There were 3 identical triplets who were unaware they had siblings, and they were adopted out of the infamous Louis Wise adoption agency, where twins and triplets were studied unknowingly to see how they varied from their identical siblings. So the adoption agency knew they had siblings, split them up intentionally so they could study them.
Wow.
Super fucked up, right?
Yeah.
I can't imagine having a sibling out there and just not knowing and then finding out later on that not only do I have a sibling, but that my sibling was put in a family that struggled with poverty as a study while I was given to a higher economic class home.
Right.
Like
not even just a sibling, but an exact replica of you.
Yeah. Can you imagine? Can we imagine having another Jenny?
This world can only handle one.
There can only be one. Anyway, from what I can find, that's not what was happening with the Minnesota family study. These were identical twins that found out later in life that they had siblings and then were compared at that point. So they weren't adopted out and held apart intentionally. Unfortunately, though, that's one of the big downfalls of this study is that makes validity flaws.
Right.
So some of the issues they had, when you look at the results of the study, it's hard to say whether or not some of the comparisons or some of the things they found.
It's hard to not say that it was an environment.
Yes, not always. But yeah, that is one of the downfalls of the study because they couldn't control every part because that wasn't the point of it.
Right.
So what were some of the big things they found though? So they did find that the strong passion about religion has a genetic basis. When identical twins who came from varying family upbringings were compared, they still had similar levels of importance for religion, no matter what, if they came from a very conservative Catholic home or a more liberal.
So basically, despite
the push to practice religion, they either chose to or they didn't at more similar levels than those who are not identical twins.
Okay, so they did or did not follow their family upbringing.
They just are talking about the statistics between the identical twins.
Right, but I get that. But the environment thing would be whatever your family brought you up to be.
But what they're looking at is if twins came from 2 completely different homes, did they have the same drive to practice religion as their twin regardless? Like, there's practicing your religion and then there's practicing your religion.
Okay.
Anyway, that's just one of the things they found, that they think there's a genetic component to if you feel this passion in life that you need to follow suit with beliefs of religion, which I can kind of see because it's a belief in like
Careful.
death. No,
Careful.
Your own mortality. It is a belief in your own mortality. Really spend a whole day on that.
But should we?
Well, maybe we'll bring it back up. We're spirituality season. Another interesting result was the statistics on happiness. Levels of happiness were much more consistent between identical twins of varying upbringings than fraternal. That makes a lot of sense.
That makes sense.
Because if we look at happiness as a component or the opposite of something like depression, we do know that things like depression, anxiety can be genetic.
So it's basically the chemicals released, and that I can see being genetic. I'm still not on board with this religion thing.
Believe it or not, believe me or not, that's what the results say.
But the results you just said are accurate.
Statistics are always true.
Okay.
I'm kidding. Don't believe everything you read. It's good that you're questioning it.
Don't believe
Just
everything
don't question
that Jill
me, though.
tells you.
No, I didn't say that. I said anything you read. You can read this. So they found out that for happiness, about half of our happiness is actually determined by genetics and the half is environmental.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Another fun one, dental hygiene.
Yeah.
Evidently, good dental health is more genetic than it is making sure you floss and brush twice a day. Or having access to dental care would be an environmental component too.
Right.
For me, I already knew this because Captain Hot Pants has never had a cavity in his life. I have had cavities, our son has had cavities, and our daughter has never had a cavity in her life. Turns out that some people just have the bacteria that makes cavities, and you can give it to somebody else by making out with them. So I threatened him. Here, have some of my spit. I lick all his cups.
that's why a lot of times I've heard you're not supposed to kiss babies on the mouth or your kids on the mouth because they don't have that bacteria and you could give that to them.
The most fascinating result I found that has been covered repeatedly are that identical twins have more than just psychological or social similarity. It's those uncanny things that they have in common when they've been brought up apart. In fact, Ripley's Believe It or Not covered 2 of the identical twins that found each other from the Minnesota twin family study.
Oh.
So the case of Jim and Jim. Oh, yeah.
Oh, wow. They're
Both
even named the
adopted
same.
out, and they were both named James. Yep.
Cool.
The twins were adopted by different parents at birth. Both were heavy smokers. Jim and Jim both smoked. Both worked in security. One was a security officer, one was a deputy sheriff. And the similarities continue. They vacationed on the same Florida beach. They drove the same car. And they even both married and divorced a woman named Linda before marrying a woman named Betty.
Weird. And they never ran into each other. And
No.
we're like, whoa, that looks like me.
It looks like me. They did only live 40 miles apart.
What?
Yeah.
And they never saw each other.
No.
That is crazy.
Yep. So then in 1979, they met and realized their similarities. They agreed to be studied to see what else they might have in common. What was found was that their medical histories and brainwave readouts were nearly identical,
That makes sense.
as were their personality tests. That one boggles my mind because you think of how we know so much about PTSD. We know so much about how environment can play into who we become.
Yeah.
That one is fascinating to me, that they had the same personalities, even with different upbringings. Not the same. Their tests came out similar. Granted, personality tests aren't that reliable, so.
Yeah. But still, did they look at their home lives growing up? Were they similar?
Okay, so since they were only 40 miles apart, that was my question, because
Right.
we did talk about in episode 8 about homogenous communities.
Yeah.
So it's quite a possibility that the reason they both worked in security is because where they lived, there was a
Plethora of
there
those
were
jobs.
there was a lot of prisons. Who knows?
Right.
And they were both smokers because that was just something that people did, and it wasn't looked down upon. Who knows? So I can see where they grew up, accounting for some of these similarities.
Sure.
But otherwise, it's just fascinating that the marrying people with the same name part is fascinating.
That's, yeah.
You know what they say, actually? That you gravitate towards people whose first names start with the same name as your own. You're married to Jesse, and you're a Jenny.
Yeah.
You fall in that group.
That's weird.
I always find that I connect with people with J names.
Yeah. I've
named my
actually
kids J names.
I've thought about this before. I would say 95% of the men I've dated in the past were J names.
See?
That's weird.
Yeah.
And I always thought that was weird, but I had no idea.
I wonder what made you want to name your kids with A's then.
Well, Addison, I just knew.
You just liked the name.
I just liked the name for a long time.
I purposely named my kids long names because everybody in my family is a long name. They're one of those 1980s common child names that then are turned into a short name. Like I have a sister named Nicole. Her name's Nikki.
Yeah.
I am Jill. I
That's
am
it.
not Jillian. I'm not Julia. I am just Jill.
Yeah.
And I always said,
Right.
my kids are
Well,
getting
that's like
long
me, too.
names. Yeah, you're just Jenny, which
Just
is
Jenny.
rare.
That is rare. The other thing is all my nieces and nephews, including my kids, their end of their name. So it's Addison, Landon, Kellen, Logan,
Yeah.
Mason, Nolan, all of them. It's crazy.
So what do you think? If these studies are showing us through looking at twins who share the same DNA, grow up in different households, are adopted, and then meet later in life, and they have all these similarities, because Jim and Jim are not the only ones.
Right.
I mean, this is still an ongoing study because they're finding so many fascinating aspects of how we think environment plays such a huge role, but how many things are actually related back to genetic base. What do you think about the idea that we've got some sort of predetermined direction? Is that scary? It's a little scary to me. I don't have as much control over what I choose as I think, because Jim and Jim both married Linda. That didn't work out. And then they both married Betty.
I mean, I definitely think that is a possibility. I don't know that these studies are convincing me of that. I feel like the idea of having kind of a road laid out for you is plausible.
What if we actually all have a doppelganger? One person who's just like us, living the same similar life.
in another
Someplace.
dimension?
No, here.
Oh,
I had a friend just tell me the other day, he's like, saw this girl come in. And I was like, hey, Jill. And then I realized it wasn't you, but it scared me because it looked so much like you that I thought you were just ignoring me. I was so sure it was you. And I'm like, what'd she look like? Now I want to see her. Now I want to know what she looks like.
When I took EMT classes,
Mm-hmm.
we were all out at the bar after a class one day, and he was like, I have to show you something. This girl looks exactly like you. It was a fucking porn.
Hey, that's
And I was like, well, that's not me, first of all. And
you don't, it's
like,
okay.
it's just
okay.
weird.
That's how Adventures in Babysitting goes. Elizabeth Shue's character. They all think she's the Playboy model.
Oh, it
It's
was
okay.
super weird.
You
I'm
can
like,
tell me. Wink once if it was really you.
can't blink fast enough.
Oh, wait.
Can you imagine though? Like, hey, come out to the parking lot. I want to show you this video.
No.
Because this girl looks exactly like you. And then you find out it's a porn movie.
Why do you have to take you out to the car to show you?
Well, okay, this was back before videos on cell phones were,
Where is he showing you? A VHS player in his car?
I think, a laptop or something. I don't remember.
Oh my God, that's even creepier. Why are you driving around with a laptop with porn in your car?
Dude, I don't know.
Are we still friends with this guy?
No.
He probably the whole time, all through class, was thinking,
Oh,
I
God.
can't wait to tell her that she looks like this. He probably watched that porn just because
It looked like me.
it looked like you.
That's so weird.
Oh, I had a professor once tell me that I looked like Natalie Portman.
Mhm.
And then he started calling me her name from Star Wars. And I was like, I gotta bail the fuck out of this class. I will take a W. I am out. But he didn't have porn in his car, at least as far as I know. So we have a special guest via Zoom. We have Tina with us. And I have known Tina since I invited myself to her wedding. But I invited myself for a reason, right?
Yeah.
She married my cousin.
Ah.
And so that's how I got to meet Tina. And ever since then, it's just been rainbows and magic. So we wanted Tina on today, though, because Tina, as we said earlier, has a daughter that she adopted. All right. So we're going to let Tina kind of tell us her story of the adoptive process that her and her husband, Andrew, went through to get Claire.
Andrew and I, we got married in 2007, and we wanted to start a family. I knew kind of going into marriage that I had issues with lady stuff in high school. So I thought that there might be, an issue with that, and my husband was fine with that. So we did try the infertility treatments, but it just was not working. And so we just decided, you know what, let's just save our money for adoption, because infertility treatments, IVF was actually a little bit cheaper because I had some insurance and stuff that I could use. So that's why we went that route first.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it was not working out. So we just saved our money and started the adoption process. I guess I'll talk a little bit about how we determined where we wanted to adopt Claire from,
Yeah.
and kind of how that process works, because I know that's a lot of people ask about that. So kind of high level, Claire is adopted from the Democratic Republic of Congo in Africa. We determined that we wanted to adopt from another country because now I guess I just want to give you kind of like a little like the heads up in beginning that we went through this process a decade ago. So things may have changed.
Right.
So I apologize if someone is interested in this and says, hey, I want to do this, and then finds out that things have changed. So
It's okay. Us side parters need to stick together. I feel like the things we went through, you hear that? Do you ever hear that now that we're not cool anymore because we part our hair on the side and wear skinny jeans?
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought about that this morning when I was getting ready. I was like, yep, definitely the side part. Kind of old. But when we were going through the adoption process, they said, hey, do you want to adopt from here or from another country? Birth parents usually pick the adoptive parents if you adopt from inside the United States.
Oh, okay. Oh, I did not
So
know
most
that.
of the time, if someone is interested in placing their child for adoption, they'll actually look through a book of profiles of adoptive parents, and there'll be a picture and about themselves, where they live, maybe what they do, and I was worried that we wouldn't get picked because we aren't rich. At the time, we had an older house and older vehicles, but we could obviously support children. My husband was and still is kind of scary looking.
He's not scary.
How
It's the
so?
facial hair.
Yeah, well, at the time, he had a 10-inch long beard.
Yeah.
He has tattoos down his arms, and he has what I call the male version of the resting bitch face. He's very straight faced.
I will concur. I will concur with that.
I was going to say, does that run in the family?
I think it does.
Yeah, so he was kind of quote unquote scary looking, and I'm overweight, so I was like, well, maybe a birth mom doesn't want her kids raised by someone who is heavy or whatever. Like all these things, I just was like, I don't want someone to not pick us.
Do they ask you certain questions, Tina? Like certain things have to go in your profile? Do you have to put like your income or your profession? Like that is a required aspect of your profile?
I don't remember if it was required, but I think they wanted you to give as much about your life to a prospective birth parent because they want to know who their kid's going to, So they choose you, and then they are able to change their mind possibly up to a certain amount of time after the actual birth before they do the termination of parental rights. And for me, that was kind of like, I don't think I could handle that. So with international, there's still a lot of risk, but the risk is different. The country themselves could, maybe they'll all of a sudden stop adoptions from that country, or maybe you won't get approved for that country, something like that. But once you're approved with that country, then you're good, and they can't like quote unquote change their mind at that point. It's not a person changing their mind; it's like a whole country, So it's a little bit different.
Yeah.
People will ask me, well, how did you decide to adopt from the Congo? There's two categories of international adoptions. Countries that are part of what's called the Hague Treaty, and there's countries that are not. All the countries that are part of this treaty agree to the same rules, meaning if you qualify to adopt in the United States, or you would automatically qualify for any other country within that treaty. If they're not part of the Hague Treaty, then it works a little different. You get matched, then you have to qualify for their country, and then the wait starts. And I guess no matter if they're part of the treaty or not, there's rules for each country. Each country has their own rules. So, for example, they might say you have to be married. You have to be heterosexual. Side note, that's why a lot of other countries will adopt from the United States, because the United States does not have that rule. Other rules I thought were interesting were, religion. They want you to be Christian or whatever. Some countries, and it's weird because a lot of them are Asian countries, they actually have a BMI requirement.
Oh my goodness.
Being a bigger girl, that basically kind of crossed out a lot of countries right off the bat, because I'm like, yeah, I don't want the pressure of trying to lose 50 pounds and adopt at the same time. We figured out which countries we even qualified for. And then we looked at travel requirements.
To go and get her and then
Right.
spend how much time there you needed to and then come back and
travel for a month or two, and then not get paid for that on top of the adoption fee. So
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So we chose the Congo because at the time you didn't have to travel there. She could be escorted back by someone from our agency, and that's what we did. So we literally left our house at 8:00 in the morning, drove to Chicago. She showed up at 1. They handed her to us, took a few pictures, and we were like, oh, we have a kid.
Wow.
Okay, this is weird.
And she was how old?
She was 8 months old. And we're coming up on 10 years. April 11th will be the 10-year anniversary.
Did you look at fostering to adopt? Was that a possibility for you guys? Did you look into that at all?
A little bit. I was nervous about having to give a child back.
Yeah.
Samey.
What about as far as age of a child? I mean, was that something that you had to consider? I would assume there's all different ages of children you can adopt. And you want a baby and having to wait for a child, that could take longer versus maybe wanting a little bit of an older child who might be waiting for you ready to go.
We thought we wanted to start with a child under 1. We had no child bearing experience or, raising experience. So we kind of wanted to try to, I guess, start from the youngest possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I could see that. I could absolutely see that.
For a second child, I think if we ever adopted again, which it's really not in our plans, but if we did, I think I would probably choose an older child just because we've been through it all already. So,
I don't know if Jill told you, but so we also, me and my husband had issues and we went through fertility treatments and we ended up getting 2 girls through fertility treatments. But through that process, we always, we talked about adoption and we are still, we've considered this whole path still because I don't want to have any more children because it was just too much of an emotional roller coaster through that whole thing. So for me, I'm kind of the same boat as you. If we do end up adopting or fostering, babies are hard. They're hard. Like, I don't know that I really want to do that again. I think I would rather opt for an older child. Can I ask financially how much your adoption cost, or do you know on average how much adoption costs?
it depends. International can be more expensive compared side by side if you go through the adoption process once, beginning to end. But so I want to say totally, we probably spent about $45,000 to $50,000,
Wow.
and that's everything. I know your eyes are like, what? But that is everything from paperwork fees, traveling to Milwaukee to get fingerprinted by the FBI, or Homeland Security, or doctor's appointments, chest X-rays, and that's everything.
Right. Do you know if there's if you can't afford it, do you know if there's any sort of assistance?
There is. At the time, the government, there was like a reimbursement you could get on your taxes is what it came down to.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, so you can get help from the government that way, like on your taxes, but you can get grants. You have to fill out different, grants with different private companies and kind of like a scholarship.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
What do you think the hardest part of all of it was, of the whole process for you?
And not knowing, the worrying that somewhere something's going to fall through the cracks and the paperwork's not going to get filled out or someone's going to change their mind. I didn't realize at the time that was my biggest fear. I mean, I was afraid about so many different things. But when I got an email from my adoption agency the couple days before we were supposed to go pick her up, and they said, plane took off from Congo and it landed in France for their layover. So they're on their way. And I broke down and cried because it was like this emotional weight taken off my chest. Thinking about it makes me kind of shiver because I was like, oh my gosh, it's going to happen for sure.
It makes me want to cry.
I know.
Stop. God damn it, Jenny.
Like, you can't, it was just, it's just, I was just afraid, It was real fear because I would say maybe a year later, they actually did stop adoptions from that country. And it was the country that did it. They just straight up said, we're going to stop all adoptions that are in process. So there were people who had already been approved by the Congo, but they couldn't bring them home because they couldn't get it approved by their country, like that final paper. They can't be adopted by anyone else in the Congo or anywhere else because legally they're their parents, but the Congo won't let them leave. So it took years for them to get home, and they finally got home. But
I'm really glad it all worked out for you guys.
Yeah, it was.
Because Claire is a beautiful, thriving child, and you guys did a wonderful job raising her. I can't imagine you guys without her. You probably can't more than I can. It's just like she's just yours.
Yeah, I cannot. People will ask me if it feels like she's my real kid. And so I can't compare because I've never given birth. But my sister-in-law gave this example to me. You know how much you love a dog or a cat? They're not, obviously, not your biological child, but you love them. Now think of it as a human. So I would agree. I don't.
No, 100%.
Yeah, not if you're raising this child and responsible for them.
Yeah, exactly. She's totally our kid. The sarcasm, it makes me proud.
Well, thanks for coming on and talking to us and sharing your story.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I have a game to play with you, but I don't know if we'll have time to play it because we only get 40 minutes. So Jenny's going to have to play solo. Probably better off that way because she's really competitive. And she will hurt you somehow through the computer.
Stop.
She'll send you vibes.
Well, I did make her cry, so
Yeah, she wins.
But hey, we will have you in studio because I know you have a lot more to tell someday, and we have other topics to talk about. So we'll keep in touch.
Yeah, thanks for the insight.
thank you.
Special segment time. Boop, boop.
Whoop, whoop.
After Tina's story, it's like, whoop, whoop, whoop. Anyway, we're going to play a little game called
Name that adoptive celebrity.
I don't remember what it's called. Wait, where is it? Here we go. Who's the adopted celebrity?
All right.
I'm going to give you a list of 3 celebrities and then 1 clue. And you're going to tell me which one is the adopted celebrity.
Okay.
We could have a wager. Now, Tina wasn't able to make it in studio today. So it was going to be that we'd have a wager and like whoever the loser was had to donate to a no-kill animal shelter and then like, but hop the money in like a bunny. Go in and be like, I got something for you, meow. Right, meow?
Right, meow.
Here's a donation, right, meow? But anyway, if you still want to do that, because you're going to be the winner and the loser.
You're the loser.
No, I guess. Well, I could be the winner because I know all the answers. All right, here we go. Your list is Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Who the hell is that?
The guy in Hamilton? Are you kidding?
Oh, okay.
I'm not giving away my shot. Kristen Chenoweth.
I don't know who that is. I'm really bad with names.
Idina Menzel. You have to know her. Your child sings Frozen all day long. Okay.
Yeah.
This Broadway star who was adopted as a 5-day-old baby first began singing in church before having the starring role of Glinda in Wicked.
B. The middle one.
Kristen Chenoweth? That is correct.
Oh, okay.
Yes. This isn't as fun. I should make Captain Hot Pants come in and play with you. That sounded creepy.
Yeah, that
No,
sounded
just
creepy.
kidding. We're going to continue on. Your list is, hey, listeners, you can play along. Your list is Sarah McLachlan,
Okay.
Alanis Morissette,
Okay.
Debbie Gibson.
Okay.
This Canadian-born singer
Alanis Morissette.
of the famous track from City of Angels, an every damn animal cruelty commercial that plays at 3 a.m. when you're up for the 5th time feeding your newborn and you just want to cry.
I just have to turn it. I can't even watch.
Who is it now? What's the right answer, though?
Sarah
McLachlan.
Stop. Okay, next.
Your list is Aaron Rodgers, Jake Cutler, Colin Kaepernick. This NFL quarterback was born in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and was famously ostracized from the NFL for kneeling during the national anthem to peacefully protest for Black lives.
Colin Kaepernick.
Correct.
He was born in
He was.
Wisconsin, huh?
I forgot to ask you, is Jesse having a mental breakdown that his creepy mance with Aaron Rodgers has to end since now he's engaged? Is he okay?
He's okay.
He's not in bed watching like old NFL reels, eating ice cream or something?
I did catch him watching an interview with his, just the fiance.
Oh, yeah?
I can't remember what her name is, but yeah.
Shailene something.
Yeah, I think he was scoping her out.
I only
Just
know
trying
who
to
she
see.
is because I watched that movie A Fault in Our Stars or something.
Oh, you've never seen Divergent? Well, she was also in that TV series,
Schitt's Creek?
Life of American Teenager or something like
Oh,
that.
no, I haven't seen that. Your list is Brad Paisley, Tim McGraw, Luke Combs. This country singer who was married to another country singer did not know he was not the biological offspring of his stepfather until he was 11. At that time, he found out his dad was actually a professional baseball player named Tug, who had left his mom when pregnant.
Tug?
Tug.
Tug Tug?
Tug? No, just one Tug.
One Tug will do it, huh?
I guess it did. He had a kid.
Okay, well, it's not Brad Paisley. Because
Not Brad Paisley.
He's not married to another country singer.
He's not. He's married to the girl from Father of the Bride, whose name I
Yes.
can never remember, but I love her face.
I don't know the other two.
You don't know who Tim McGraw is?
Oh, Tim McGraw. Well,
It's
you
Tim
pronounced his... He is adopted?
He is actually. He didn't know his stepfather wasn't his dad, like I said. And interestingly enough, guess what? His wife Faith Hill was also adopted.
I didn't know. I love those two. Since they're both adopted, did they adopt any
I
children?
don't think so. I think their children are biological, but actually I don't know.
Because I feel like
I really don't know.
that's something you would do.
Have you seen him recently?
No.
Damn, that guy. I don't know if he's
Aging well
if
or
he's
not?
Benjamin Buttoning or what. Yeah, he looks
Oh.
phenomenal. He's like Mark Wahlberg, where you're just like. Except
Yeah.
Mark Wahlberg gets up at like 2:30 in the morning and works out.
Yeah.
Seems like a crazy person.
Anytime I think of Mark Wahlberg, what's the movie you think of when you think of Mark Wahlberg?
Oh, I just think of Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch. Otherwise, Daddy's Home.
Not Boogie Nights.
No.
No, I don't either. I actually think of Fear.
Oh my God, yes, with Reese Witherspoon.
Yeah.
That is a movie of my childhood.
That's a good movie.
And I was like,
we need to watch that movie.
it's like also like Penn Badgley in You on Netflix.
Oh, yeah.
They're like those hot guys that like are sociopaths, but you're still like, I mean, I'd give them a date.
Even
Then
knowing
you kind
you're
of
a
feel
sociopath.
bad about yourself because you're like, I shouldn't find him attractive, but damn, he's hot.
Oh, see, I don't think that guy from You is hot.
Penn?
He's too skinny.
Oh, I think it's just his personality. He's got a wit. Okay, here's the last one.
Okay.
Your list is Nick Carter, Justin Timberlake, J.C. Chazez.
It's either Nick Carter or JC.
This famous dark-haired boy band cutie was
JC.
adopted at age 5 from the same foster parents who cared for his birth mother.
Oh, cool.
Honestly, I think he was the cutest in Sync member.
Yeah,
I never found Justin Timberlake attractive.
yeah. His ramen noodle hair.
Yeah. My brother had that haircut.
Did he?
And then he went to the homecoming game, and decided to dye his hair with red Kool-Aid.
Oh boy.
I don't know if I need to tell you guys this, but if you dye your hair with Kool-Aid, it doesn't come out.
No.
So my mom had to take him to get all of his permed blonde curls cut off.
Perm? He had a perm?
Well, yeah. Just like Justin Timberlake.
Oh, yeah, I suppose.
It's gonna be me.
I don't have any favorite.
All right, what's your fluffy takeaway for the day?
That Jill lies.
What did I lie about? I just read you the stats. I didn't say they were valid. In fact, I led with the fact that they're not tested
No.
for validity. I led with that. That's it. I'm going to find your doppelganger and replace you with her.
I learned that Jill looks like Natalie Portman.
I don't, though. That's the weird thing.
You don't.
No.
You're hotter.
Thanks. I'm more like Chewbacca.
What is your fluffy takeaway?
My fluffy takeaway is that if you know someone who has adopted or is adopted, you need to give them props for going through the mental, financial, and physically exhausting process.
Right.
Foster children, adopted children. I mean, it's a lot.
It's a big ordeal. Mm-hmm. All right. That's it for episode 10. Thanks for joining us. Remember to share us if you like us. Mm-hmm. Follow us on Facebook. And also, if you listen to us on Apple Podcasts, go ahead and give us a review on there. That helps other people see us as well. Please join us again. Bye.
Baby, bye, bye, bye. Bye, bye, bye. Thank you for joining us on Fluffy Mother Fluffer. Hopefully this episode lifted a little bit of fluff off that pile called life. And if not, well, join us again next time, you fluffy mother fluffer, you. BTW.
Huh?
Remember when you started your kitchen and I asked if I could come over and tear down a wall? Like I wanted to put a hammer through something?
Mm-hmm.
And you suggested I go to a rage room?
Yes.
So I looked it up. We don't have any here.
Uh-uh.
Sucks. So the closest one is Milwaukee, and then there's a bunch in Michigan where for 20 minutes you get to lock yourself in and you get to pick out everything you want and take it in with you. Like you go first to this room and you pick out all these vases, or maybe you want to like bust the shit out of an old computer, or you want to like put a bat through like an old TV. Like you get to go pick your pieces.
Yeah, and each piece like probably costs money.
I don't know.
I'm telling you, this is a new business venture for us.
That's what I'm saying. That was my next point. Since we don't have one here,
I know.
all we need
People's old shit.
All we need is old shit, and we also just need like a room, and we'll just lock people in it.
Yeah, we'll have
It's getting weird.
We'll have to look at what insurance is for something like that.
Okay, so I want to lock you in a room with a bunch of glass and a baseball bat.
I don't think you need to lock people in the room. I think you just say, here's a bat, here's some safety glasses. Have at her.
Have fun. Yeah, and then because you would worry that they'd come out of there like all still like hyped up, when they come out, you get them with a confetti gun. Like,
yay, you did it!
just to like make them feel a little better, like or like a t-shirt gun, but instead of t-shirts it's like puppies. Puppy.
Poor
It's a puppy. Oh, not a live puppy, like like a stuffed puppy.
Oh, God. I was like, you're fucked up.
What
Not
the
a
heck?
live puppy.
Whoa.
Dude.
Your mind went there. I didn't say that.
No, you did. You said not a live puppy.
Not alive. Well, no. You think oh my God. You think I killed them?
I don't know. This
Put
whole
them in
thing
the
sounds fucked up.
T-shirt gun? That's fucked up.
Dude, then say stuffed animal. Not
I did.
puppy.
Not live. I'm not. Never mind. We can't be in a business venture together. Oh, wait. Shit. Join us next time.